Hello, greetings, salutations. It's a holiday, but we're still at it. It's President's Day, February 16th, 2026. A mere 31 days until spring arrives officially on the calendar. And in celebration of that, we got a light dusting of snow overnight. It was actually quite beautiful. And thankfully, the temperatures mean that it's not going to stay for very long. So the great melt of 2026 continues. And every day I go out there and I look at these, what have become these kind of disgusting looking piles of very hard snow, smaller and smaller and smaller. It really feels like freedom. It feels like you can move around a little bit, and aesthetically certainly getting a little bit better. So that's what's going on in my immediate surroundings. How about you? I hope you're having a good February. I still can't believe we're halfway through February, but we are. And before we know it, we're going to be celebrating March rolling around. Let's see. In the world of trivia and useless nonsense to help ground us in where we really are in history, or at least how, what a blip it is, I guess. Let's see. On this day in 1881, the Canadian Pacific Railway Company was incorporated. And on this day in 1883, Ladies' Home Journal was published for the first time. 1883. So here we are in 2026. Canadian Pacific Railway. So there's your trivia for today. What is going on? Well, it's a President's Day weekend here in the United States. So for some people, it's a holiday today. For others, it's not. I'm going to be doing a kind of a hybrid day, getting some work done, but a light meeting schedule, which is nice. Allows some time to breathe. Man, I really sort of shut down on the weekend. I mean, in terms of, well, particularly Saturday, I just reached a point of my brain needed to not process anything for an extended period of time. And I have noticed this pattern. It's weird because it does not come up for me consciously, in the sense that I don't have a thought that says brain is overheated, needs to completely, turn off. I just feel like not moving. And so that's how I felt on Saturday. And, sometimes going to the gym fixes that. I don't know about you, but man, I just really didn't want to have to think about anything. And so my observation on that is that I've been cranking the old mind every day nonstop for, very, very long days of work recently, which is great. I am not complaining. Excited to be having a new venture and new opportunities and figuring things out. At the same time, I need to be careful about modulating how much time I'm doing in, solving problems, because at some point I do kind of overheat. And so I think what I've realized is that I don't necessarily have to solve everything today. I think that's the big learning. It doesn't have to be today. So prioritizing the couple of things I can do today, and then allowing myself to say, well, maybe tomorrow you'll figure out how you're going to approach this issue, this opportunity, this, I say problem, but I mean that generally speaking. I don't mean problems necessarily. Challenges, opportunities, decision fatigue is a real thing. So when you pile on all of that and then just managing life with taxes due soon and everything else, I know I'm not alone in reaching moments of what we would call overwhelm. But I think it's also, for me, just processing too much in a short period of time. And then at some point I don't want to say crash, but my mind's going to say, no, we're not going to do anything today. We're just going to no matter what you do. It's kind of like when a dog decides they're not going to go anywhere, or a child, a small child, when they're like, I'm not going to move, and they just sit down in the middle of the street. Maybe not screaming, but they're just not going to move. That's how my mind felt on Saturday. So I'm just taking notice of that and listening to it, I'm not burned out. I'm just noticing that maybe I'm overworking the mind a little bit. So I don't like having radical swings if I can avoid it. It's exhausting. And I think as I get older, the radical swings between what you might call hyper productivity, or just, hyper brain activity around a myriad of things. It's exhausting. It's exhausting, as exciting as it is. All that said, I'm really excited about some new projects. I'm looking at maybe doing an audiobook for somebody else. And I'll be touring a studio later this week and investing some time in building relationships with additional, resources in New York City and around New York City around media production. And I think this is a piece of that. So even if I don't move forward with the book, and we'll see. I have a meeting about it today. I want to do it if it's right for everybody. But regardless, I think it's important to have, those resources and contractors and studio spaces, in my orbit for producing all kinds of different projects. Excited about that. But on the whole, it's just more opportunities to continue to refine what it is that I'm offering, who I'm offering it to, and I still think there's work to do to get it even more narrow, and I'm getting there, but can't force that either, and I think that goes back to my overwhelm, like thinking that I can just force myself to get to where I want to go in a day by thinking about it. That is not the solution. That's going to drain me of more energy. So taking this in smaller bites and accepting smaller wins around getting closer and closer to a really concentrated, highly effective message to a particular niche audience on the business side, that's really where I'm at. So I'll leave it there. I hope you find something in there that you relate to that helps you. I got a call recently from someone who listens to the show and said, hey, what you shared today, I listened to right before I went into a very difficult meeting and it helped me a ton. I really appreciate that. And I would just want to say, I'll end today with this. It is inspiring to me. We're no Joe Rogan podcast or Mel Robbins podcast or anything. That's not what this was intended for anyway. But to look at, almost 7,000 downloads of the show total, and the increase in the last 6 months in particular, it is inspiring. And we are growing. We're growing by little every week. There's some activity that shows me a little bit of more growth in terms of people who are engaging and listening. And for that, I'm deeply grateful. And I'm always reminded that I am not alone and neither are you. So with that, be good to yourself and others. Enjoy this day wherever you may be. Thanks as always for listening, and we will check back again with you tomorrow. Bye-bye for now.